Welcome to the Academic Writing Amplified podcast. On this podcast, we believe that the culture of academia needs to change radically. Women and non-binary people are revolutionizing academia within institutions that were not built for us. If you're ready to reject the culture of overwork, kick guilt and overwhelm to the curb, and amplify your voice to make a real impact on your field without breaking down or burning out, you're in the right place. With our team of experienced writing coaches as co-hosts, we'll share insights and talk to inspiring guests to bring you the practical strategies, systems, and mindset shifts you need to find time to write, publish work you love, and design your career on your terms. And it all starts with writing. Let's go. Hey there, it's Kathy Mazak from Scholar's Voice, and today I'm coming to you with this juicy take, which is that changing universities is not going to solve your writing and publication problem. So if you feel like you have a clogged up publication pipeline, that you have a lot of almost done drafts, or maybe like a bunch of data that's analyzed, but you haven't started drafting on it yet. And one of the things you're saying to yourself is, well, if I was at an R1, I'm sure I would be able to publish all these things. But in my current university situation, I can't do that because I have this high teaching load or high service or big advising load or whatever it is that you are putting the blame on. Now, listen, we have worked at Scholar's Voice with literally hundreds of people, professors at different types of universities. So from all over the world, everything from people who are even in community colleges where they're teaching a 5-5, people at SLACs, which tend to be heavy teaching, but also you need to keep up your research pipeline, all the way through Research One universities, and even people who are in positions that are 100% research positions. All of those people come through our Navigate program and go through the same process. So everybody who applies and gets into Navigate goes through this same process to clear their pipeline and create a sustainable writing practice. They're not different processes depending on what kind of university you're at or what your teaching load is. So how does that work, right? Like, how do people who only teach 1 or 2 classes per semester or per year, why don't they have time to write? You might be thinking if you are not one of those people. Well, the answer is that everybody who comes through our program actually has the same general set of problems. And it's not easy for people who have a quote unquote low teaching load or even a not too much service load, which we hardly ever see people with not so much service. But the answer is that it's the same process. So if you have been putting off clearing your publication pipeline because you think I can't do that here, I can't maintain my research program because of the university I'm at or the type of position I'm in, you're assuming the wrong solution to your problem. So you're thinking if I get a different job, then my publication problem will be solved. I won't have this clogged up pipeline, right? So you're thinking that's the solution. So similar thought pattern if you are thinking it would be much easier to publish my backlog of papers if maybe it's not changing the type of institution, maybe it's just changing institutions. Like you have this rosy picture of how your professorial life is going to be, at some other place. Again, you are assuming the wrong solution to your publication problem. In fact, changing universities is not the answer to your publication problems. And if you go through the process of changing universities, in order to solve that problem, you are going to be sad because the problem will follow you to the next place. The answer to your publication problems, to your backed up pipeline, to your never making time to write, to your I have so much data and I never get to write it up, is inside of you. The answer is not external to you, okay? The answer is inside of you. Now, I'm not saying that your external circumstances have nothing to do with your ability to make time to write or your ability to unclog your pipeline. Obviously, They do to some extent. But the main way that you can make change in your publication pipeline, how things get published, what happens, is by changing you, okay? By changing your mindset, by changing your practices, by changing your approach to your writing and publishing. So, there's a lot of reasons to change institutions. There's a lot of reasons to get on the market and try to find a different job or a new job. But if you think that your publication pipeline will magically be cleared by you changing institutions, that is not what's going to happen. You're wrong, okay? Your publication problems will follow you. And here's why, okay? Making time to write so that you can publish more is a process that is institutionally agnostic, okay? It doesn't matter what type of institution you are in. It matters how you manage yourself, your time, your mindset, and your career. So I initially developed the process that we teach inside of our Navigate program while I was teaching a 4-4 load. I was a professor at the University of Puerto Rico. I was teaching a 4-4 load. They kind of want you to do your research, but really they need to get these courses covered kind of situation. I also had small kids, so all of my work needed to fit into daycare hours because it was just too much to try to do work at home on the evenings or on the weekends with the kids. And my husband's also a professor, so I could just work more hours. At that point in my life, that was not an option to solve my publication problem. So what did I do? Well, through trial and error, I figured out how to manage my time to my best advantage and focus my pipeline by clarifying my academic mission. And I figured out how to use my best time of day to write and got very emphatic about that. So even when I had course release time, so that I actually only taught a 2-2 load, which, through getting grants and different kind of things, I was able to do for a few semesters. The process of making time to write and getting publications out was the same. My course load didn't matter. What mattered was these other things. And we've seen this again and again as everyone from community college professors to full-time researchers have found publication success through our Navigate program. So if you keep blaming your university for your lack of time, you are just delaying getting your amazing voice out in the world and influencing your field. Because unless you learn fundamental things about publication pipeline management, project management, time management, creating sustainable writing practices, unless you learn those things, that will follow you no matter what your academic position is. So you could go from teaching a 5-5 to being a full-time researcher. And if you don't solve those things, if you don't figure that out, then those problems will just go with you and you will not hold boundaries around your time. You won't know when is the best way to write. You'll keep doing binge and bust style writing, or you will just have to, use nights and weekends to write, or any of these other kind of Band-Aid methods that we try to use when we don't actually master that list of things that I just told you need to master. So if you change universities, but you don't change yourself, you'll be right back where you started. Pulled in 1,000 directions, pipeline clogged, too much data, not enough pubs, stressed out, and wanting to quit. And actually, one of my big motivations for doing the work that I do and for doing the work that we do at Scholars Voice is that I don't want you to quit. I think that you have something unique and incredible to offer to the scholarly world and to the world, period. And I want you to be able to get that out there. So if you've been saying to yourself, languishing in excuses around well, it's my teaching load, it's my service load, I can't do that here. If you're using any of that language in your self-talk, yeah, I can't do that here. Or if you get a little attitude-y inside your mind and say oh, easy for her to do, she's at a research 1, that is an indication that you are blaming your external circumstances for your lack of time to write and your clogged pipeline, when actually you have control over solving that problem. And the only way to solve that problem is by you taking control. Like I said, there's lots of good reasons to get a different job. We rarely coach people to get a new job. Like that's like, if they want to, obviously we will help them in whatever way we can. But that's not going to solve your problem most of the time. Most of the time, the person who can solve your publication problem is you. So the good news is, right, if you want to learn these methods that I've been talking about, so how to create a publication pipeline that flows, right? What we do in our Navigate program is we create a map of your publication pipeline, which is different for each person. We teach you how to do it. And then that really helps you diagnose where in your pipeline are things getting stuck. And then you can apply energy and time and thought to unclogging those particular points in your pipeline. And that's really good to know, right? Like that's part of this like self-knowing process that we also work on in the program so that you can really figure out, right? Like this is where I need to pay attention in my pipeline so that it continues to flow. We also work on project management. So everybody who is an academic also has to be a project manager. And if you've written a dissertation, you have managed a very large project. Now, most of the time, though, once you're a professor, you are managing multiple large projects at once, right? So you have service projects, you have teaching projects, you have research projects, you have projects related to students, you might have outreach projects, so many different things. And you're managing all of them. And you are also like having to manage writing projects in addition to other types of projects. So basically, project management skills are something that you need. You probably already have some pretty good ones, but you might be holding on to some things that aren't working for you that well. So in Navigate, we focus on writing project management, but we also kind of talk about this bigger context of like multiple layers of project management, how to manage multiple projects at once. So those two things, super important. The other thing is finding or clearing time in your schedule. And we do that in Navigate through a process of alignment. So your whole job as a professor is to think, right? Like this is a profession where much of the value that you add to the world is through the ideas that you bring to your field and the ideas that you share with students and help students develop. So that means that you have to have like space to think. And of course, this is directly related to writing, which is directly related to publishing, right? Like if you don't have time to write, your publications are not going to come out. So in Navigate, we go through this like whole process of aligning everything that you do behind your academic mission statement so that you create or work to create, because it is definitely like a process that takes time, work to create spaciousness in your schedule and a rhythm to your schedule so that you don't keep feeling like pulled in 1,000 directions with so many things on your plate every day and every week. All right. And then finally in Navigate, the last thing that we do is we talk about writing practice. So we have a writing system called the Soaring system. It has various parts to it. We teach all the parts. We teach how to set writing goals and how to use a tracking system and a reward system for yourself so that you can not only like see where you're going, but also celebrate how much you've accomplished. And we talk about resilient writing. Okay. So we talk about a writing practice that can weather ups and downs in your semester. We call them ebbs and flows, right? Like the semester has a pattern to it that ebbs and flows. But also if you have health issues, if you have an emergency good or bad, right? Like sometimes the emergency is, I got this great opportunity and now I'm going to take it. So that shifts what I thought I would be doing. All of those kinds of things need a resilient writing practice. So you have to have a writing practice that can weather like ups and downs. That's the only way to have a sustainable practice. And then finally, we also call the writing practice relationship-based. And what that means is the way that we teach the writing practice is all about creating a positive relationship with your writing. And that means that you feel some kind of positive feelings when you sit down to write, not just negative feelings, feelings of overwhelm, stress, anxiety, that kind of thing. So we really work on using different kinds of tools together to create this like very good relationship with your writing. During that I just mentioned kind of 4 main areas. We spend about 3 weeks on each area. That's 12 weeks. Also, alongside of all of that learning, you are taking an almost done article from draft to submit. And so basically, as you learn these different things about pipeline and project management and making space in your schedule and writing practices, you're using that almost done article as like a use case for all of these things, right? You're practicing what you're learning with that almost done article so that you can do that again and again. And over the course of what we think will take you a year, 18 months, you can clear your pipeline. So you can clear that backlog so that then you can continue to do wonderful things and get your work out into the world. All right. So here's a really cool thing that we are adding that we just came up with and that we're adding to our Navigate application process. So Navigate is an application only program. The way to get the invitation to apply is by getting on the wait list. So you need to go to our website, which is scholarsvoice.org. You can click on the Navigate button, or you can go to /Navigate and find the pink button that says get on the wait list. And so no matter when in time you are watching this video or listening to this podcast, you can do that. Okay. So go get on the wait list. And then what will happen is when we have a cohort opening, and if you're listening or watching in real time, we are opening a cohort for the summer. Like, I'm very excited about the summer writing kind of cohort of Navigate. Summer is people always want to work on their writing in the summer. So working on the writing in a really supported way, because of course, Navigate includes group coaching, is going to be just really great. You're going to feel like the summer was like so productive and fruitful because you did Navigate in the summer. The Navigate itself runs from, this is 2023, so I think it's May 15th to August 4th are the dates, but it's in there. And if you get on the wait list, we will send you all the information about the cohort meeting time, the price of the program, and then you can apply. Once you apply, and this is the exciting new thing that I was getting to, every applicant who passes the application phase, you are going to do our Scholar's Voice writing and publication audit. And this is a self-assessment. We have it set up in like a cool way so it like auto calculates a score and stuff. That's going to help you see like where you are in those 4 kind of main pillar things that I've been talking about in this video that you need to work on in order to clear your pipeline and have a successful academic publishing career. So if you get on the wait list, then you can go through our application process, which includes our Scholar's Voice writing and publication audit, which is going to tell you, once you go through that process, it will tell you exactly what you need to work on. And then, of course, we would love to have you work on that in our Navigate program and really be with you for 12 weeks, focusing on solving this problem. Changing universities is not the answer. It is not the answer. You're just going to take the same practices that aren't working and mindsets that aren't working. You're just going to take them along with you wherever you go. So instead, what you need to do is you need to work in these 4 core areas that Navigate works on, of course, but even if you don't take Navigate, you can work on those 4 things, because that is where you're going to really see change. And a lot of times what happens is that people are super frustrated, blaming their universities. They take Navigate and then they don't have to switch jobs because they had the power and the agency to make their own job better. I mean, that is super powerful. You don't have to go on the market. Of course, if you want to go on the market, fantastic, but you can change your situation. And it's about taking control of your career, but you kind of need to know how the heck to do that, right? And it's much easier to do that with coaching. And Navigate, of course, has a large coaching component to it. So if you want to do our Navigate program, go on over to scholarsvoice.org/navigate, find the pink button and click it to get on the wait list. All right, I'll see you there. Bye. Thank you so much for spending your valuable time supporting yourself and your writing by listening to this episode. If you like what you heard today, the best way to say thank you is to hop on over to Apple iTunes and write an honest review. The more reviews, the more amazing academic women and non-binary people will find this podcast. So go write one now.